So thank you everyone, whoever is watching. We have four beautiful ladies today, including me. I would like to take that pleasure. And so we have Kelly, that's how we call her, Kalyani. We have Anamika, the founder, Nida, awesome mom, and me, Ramya, the host. And Anamika will be hosting this session with me today. So let's start with a quick round of introductions. I know everybody here is aware about who me and Anamika is. We want to know all about Kalyani and Nida today. It's all about you two. So let's start. Who wants to go first?
Hi, Nida. First. So, I'm Nida, normally known as Nida with friends and professionally, but nowadays more known as Myra's mom, which I think becomes our next identity. I am quite open-minded and I love to talk and I love to listen, both the things. And I'm okay to provide any sort of solutions anywhere, that's in professionally or not. I think I'm normally a problem solver by nature. I love to cook, I love to bake, love arts and crafts, and I love reading. I think that's my first love. The other thing which I absolutely love is history and traveling, everything related to that. But I think with this lockdown, what did come up is a lot of our other hidden talents from long back, which we had pushed under the carpet for various reasons. And for me, that was getting back in touch with all the creative stuff. So normally, as I said, I'm a complete idealist with hopes of a principled, ethical society. But I know that doesn't work normally. Professionally, I'm a senior manager. I'm an account lead for one of the leading consulting companies, and I have a big team who I have to handle more than 20-25 people. And I am mum to a little girl, 4-year-old now, and I'm from Bombay originally. So still the Bombay spirit is still alive in me, even though I've been in London for almost 10 years now. So that's me.
Excellent.
Ooh, excellent, Nida.
I've known you for so many days, Nida, but today I've known you even more.
Yeah.
All right, so it's up to me now. So
Yeah.
I'm Kalyani, a lot known as Kelly because I used to work in for the BPOs, and I'm a Bangaloreite. So basically from Bangalore, been here for the last 10 years. So I've got I worked as a team leader and assistant manager while I was in Bangalore, and that was all before wedding. And now post wedding, it's all London life. So I've got experience of Google Analytics and tagging while I've been here. My favorites have been sports. I'm a very sportive person. I love to do or probably even get into different kinds of sports, learn more about them. So I think my kids have also developed the same from me. They love to do things that are more sportive and love to take challenges. So being along with them, let me introduce them now. So I have two little ones, Trish, who is 7 years old and is in year 3. And I have Javli, who is 6 years old and she's a year 2 kid. So being with them and having a liking for sports, when I used to start talking about them, so a little introduction to STEM got introduced to me while we were kids. But for me to introduce STEM to them took a little while, trying to understand how and what I do. And there goes the journey with LSA for me.
Thank you, Kelly. That's so wonderful. So what do you? Okay, because obviously we have been talking since so long because of our kids. If I would like to know more about you, how would you describe yourself as? Like, apart from being a mom, what is Kelly?
Okay, Kelly is a very talkative person. She doesn't wait for invites to get into somebody's life and to help them. And I think I am an open house for suggestions. I am known as the open lighthouse and because I stand tall when it comes to suggestions, recommendations, or the things that are needed to be done then and there, or what's the need of the hour. And with respect to helping nature, I help them, but I get them to work on things so that, they learn how things can work more better their way.
That's true. That's very nice. That's very nice, Kelly. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Okay, so that was a great introduction. And now comes the main question, which is why were you drawn towards LSA? What made you draw? So, Nida, would you like to answer that first?
So I think I just stumbled upon LSA. One of my close friends who also has a 4-year-old was already on the WhatsApp group, and every week I used to see these awesome status messages from her with a little glimpse of the experiment. So obviously being from STEM background, I got so intrigued. I asked her, how do you do it? How do you get the time to do it? And she recommended STEM. So I'm really thankful that she did. And then when I joined, and obviously the community spirit, that drew me the most, because we were not just looking at the experiment, but learning from everybody who had posted. Everyone had their own touch. Some kids, the way they delivered, like Trish and Janvi, the way they delivered an entire experiment, and some who were really creative. There was one, Saujanya, she was so creative. So the things we used to keep picking up from each other. I think Lakshmi and her kid, they were also extremely creative. I'm just remembering old names because they stuck with me till now, for that reason. And right now I can see Pallavi Acharya, even the sort of things they come up with, and that just makes you think, wow, I can teach my kid a very complex subject in such a simple way. So that community feeling, I think, was the biggest draw for me. What we learned from each other, and that kept me going.
And
Wow.
that is so nice. I completely understand what you're trying to say, because we've done this together, isn't it? So let's hear it from Kelly.
Yeah, for me, I actually introduced STEM to my kids, say right from the age of 2 or something. So very little, very microscopic level. But when I was looking for how do I introduce it at a higher level for them, because they're growing more and more now, that's when I stumbled on the LSA through the Facebook. So that's when I got into the WhatsApp activity. See, for me, I believe in kids have a visual memory more than the hearing memory. So if they do it by themselves, that's when they are understanding the concepts even more better. And when we ask them to explain, they explain it in their own beautiful little nostalgic ways that, this happened and that happened. So it's kind of, when I got into this, the first experiment was the sink and float. And it was the beginning of lockdown, trust me. So it was kind of, how we did. I never told them anything, but the way they delivered was I was like, wow. And the way you guys designed it as well made it more parent friendly, where the parents can get into the kids level and then take them through it. Yeah, so it's kind of, I believe this, they do it by themselves, so they get to remember more, and their curiosity increases at a higher level rather than seeing or doing things. But once they are done with their experiments, that's when I show how the group has delivered their own set of experiments. And I have my favorites, my kids have their own individual favorites, and they ask, oh, how has Myra done today? Oh, how has the other kid done today? It's kind of, I'm like,
this is so different.
they know the kids
They've not even
unknowingly
met each other.
without
They've
knowing
not even
them.
met each other, but they're friends, It's
Yes, without
amazing.
having met.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this social learning platform, to be honest, because when we started this off, we never thought of a social learning element being one of the key to learn. I mean, we always thought that, we will just post the experiments, people will do it, just like, a conventional teacher relationship with their children. But then when we actually saw that spirit in you guys, looking at each other, being competitive at the same time in a healthy way, that just blew me off. And I'm like, this is what, the social learning platform should look like. And it just basically constructed in that manner by itself.
And so we all know that Anamika is from a STEM background herself. She's done extensive science learning, like she's gone to IIT, and we all know that, right? But I want to quote her here, that why did you think of this? there was a special reason why you thought of this entire, because
Yes, that's true. So actually, I'll tell you that obviously I'm a woman in tech, right? And I do take all the initiatives in the field of engineering and technology. And what really happened was I used to go to some schools as part of my own multinational company where I work currently. And then obviously in those schools, there were boys, there were girls. And I could see a natural inclination of boys towards science and technology. It's just natural because people are brought up, or these kids are brought up in that way. But then girls, for some reason I could see them either being shy or not being participative. I just couldn't get the feel that why, because obviously I wanted to start early. I wanted to really expose boys and girls to the same amount of exposure in the case of science and technology, but I couldn't just get the concept that why is it happening. And then then Anna was there with me, and then I realized that actually this starts from this age, because we already make this distinction between boys and girls, that the hammer is for the boy, and the
dolls
princess
are
or
for
the doll
girls. Yeah.
is for the girl. And I was like this is not me being me, because I've got a boy, and I was like, if I'm myself giving a JCB hammer to my boy, and also thinking about actually how a girl would play with the doll, then that means there's something wrong here in this particular age group. And that's where I was like, we should do something. We should expose our kids equally to something right from this early age. And that was main reason what drove me towards actually doing something STEM related for our boys and girls, for our little boys and girls.
Excellent. So
that is so true. It
Definitely.
starts at that age. I have seen that so often, especially because we joined at the age of 3 years, 5 months or something in STEM, and then I could see that. And I'm one of the mums who never buys dolls for her, but she gets gifts as dolls. I've made sure that she is a child, not gender specific toys with her. And I completely agree with what you're saying. It's spot on.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, I have got a kitchen for my boy just because of the same reason.
Yeah.
And obviously just expose them equally, right? And then whatever they want to choose, they can. I'm not saying that all the LSA kids are going to be scientists one day. Maybe they will. But then what the intention is to actually expose them and then let them decide what they want to do in future.
If you don't know, how will you make choices, isn't it? If you don't know what's out there.
It's said that the professions that our kids are going to take up when they grow up, they haven't even been invented yet. Just as many of the professions that we took up weren't invented when we were born. So we have to just make sure they are creatively and logically tuned in, so that whatever comes in the future, maybe they will have everything related to robotics. And if they are not logically tuned in, they wouldn't know a thing to do. And it's not just academics.
That's true. Very true.
Very true.
Okay, so let me ask this next question. Okay, so you both have been a part of our violet belt and white belt, right? So I would like to know, like, what was your experience with white belt and violet, and how was it different? So let's start with Kelly this time.
White belt was introduction to all concepts. It was a way where even I learned how my kids will, what my kids like, and how do they develop those concepts. Now, white belt went with all learnings of basics, right? The basic knowledge around us, the science around us. There's so much of science around us, but we wouldn't know how to explain it to the kids. So each and every experiment helped us to show how much of science, we are surrounded with science. So the white belt gave us a foundation. It basically laid the foundation for the next level. And what made me get into violet belt was looking at the quality time I spent with the kids. Every week there is some science time happening, some talks apart from their regular life or their learnings or academics or math and English. You're talking about carbon dioxide, oxygen that we breathe, the materials that we are holding or feeling every day, right? So it's kind of these things. Violet, when it compared to white, went into a little more deeper thinking, or a concept that I would have felt, okay, let me take some more time to introduce this concept into my kids, or, it was like, ongoing, but in such a fun manner that the kids don't feel that it is science. They only take it as, wow, what have we got it this time? Okay, so it's basically Violet gets us into a little more deeper aspects of the same concept that we learned, but in a different approach, in a different manner. And they are trying to connect. Oh yes, Mama, we did this in that experiment. We used this pulley effect over here. So it's kind of, they are trying to compare things. So in Violet, it's more than one aspect that they are learning, and two concepts together gives you a different effect. So it's kind of, I feel Violet is a little more onto a next step for them to learn about science.
That's very nice. I'm glad that it has happened, that you guys can see a difference. Yeah. What about you, Nita?
So I would say in a school, like how when you start, they do phonics, they move on to words, and then they move on to sentences, and then they read their entire books on their own. So I felt that way it was a natural progression. The first thing was they learned their basic stuff, the building blocks. Now they're connecting the dots. They are in that sentence stage where they are connecting what was done in the first white belt, connecting it and linking the concepts, and then moving forward. But that is from the technical, or let's say the STEM perspective. I can say from my kid, because of her age group, what really changed on a massive level is confidence, delivery of something on a stage, even though there is no stage, right?
Yeah.
It's just, let's say, a virtual stage or imaginary stage. So now, even if she's making, let's say, a laddu, she will say, hello everyone, this is a laddu. So that's the thing. So
Yes.
she knows delivery at that age, public speaking at that age, even though there is no audience. And I'm hoping that when she does come to that stage, she is fearless and she would not, think twice before talking to a large group. So for me, yes, that's natural progression as in school, the same concept, building block moving to sentence level now. But personality wise, because kids are growing, their personality is growing with it, and I can see those developments which are so important.
Excellent.
Thank you. We are so glad to know that, because some parents did ask us this question, that why white belt is so scattered, right? Like, if you look at the experiments, they are all random. Obviously, they are not random, because if you really think about it, when myself and Ramya were talking about it, they do link up eventually. But then it's all about putting those dots in a random fashion, as a kid would do, and then join them together, and obviously just build upon it. So thank you so much for recognizing that.
So I want to know something which Myra, Krish, or Janvi would have said, and it's out of the blue, and you're not even expecting that answer, but they just come up with it, because of the experiments and all the teaching that you've done. And can you cite some examples or something which that completely unexpected but blew your mind away?
This just happened yesterday. Okay, Nida, I'm taking over first this time.
No, go ahead.
Yesterday, I surprised my kids with pizza for dinner. So Trish is just sitting on the table and he says, "Can I have some non-Newtonian liquid, please?" And I was like, he was referring to the tomato ketchup, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Brilliant.
So, I just laughed my guts out. Oh yes, here you go with your non-Newtonian liquid. So
Yeah.
they keep surprising us, so a lot. She's like, my daughter, when we go out, we wear a mask. So when I'm taking her out, she says, "Mama, I have a lot of carbon dioxide inside my mask." Why? Because there is no place for the carbon dioxide to go out and for the oxygen to come in. And, these are all the basic, simple learnings that we have learned in our white belt, all right? So that they carry on. So white belt just lay the foundation for them, and which we are enjoying in our daily life with a lot of smiles, and that is learning for them.
This is
It's very
amazing.
true, actually. And to be honest, some people did ask me that what's the point in teaching carbon dioxide to a 3-year-old, right? We're not teaching carbon dioxide to a 3-year-old. We are just introducing the term to them, right? Because as and when that comes, they will link it up back. Because that used to happen with me. When I still see my windmill, I still remember my dad telling me that windmill produces electricity. That has just got here, and when they were actually teaching me the concept of windmill in school, obviously at a higher age, then I could relate it back. So it's not about teaching them it's CO2. It's all about just introducing them to that vocabulary, because as and when they come, it just should become natural to them rather than, being pushed on it.
Yeah, it increases their confidence in such a way that they don't get startled. Oh my God, what is this new term that I'm being, exposed to? And then, like, I have done this before. I can deal with this, and that confidence really helps them, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And raise your hands if gravity hasn't been your favorite word. Oh my God. We go on walks. In our local area whenever there's this, complete lockdown. And I think the neighbors whom we didn't know about, obviously we knew now neighbors across the lanes also. I think everybody knows that Myra knows gravity. Simply because she'll stop near trees, and depending on obviously the season, and we had a lot of apple trees around, and she would literally stop, and any tree that is fallen, Mama, take my video. So this apple has fallen because of gravity. Oh my God. All my neighbors know that Myra knows gravity. So gravity is their most favorite. Another being graph. So school was doing number line as soon as they started, September term, and almost for every kid that was a new concept. She started off by doing her graph there. So there itself, she already knew one step beyond the number line, that is x and y axis, and drawing equidistant with all the numbers in. So these two were really
the
something
teacher would
which
have
made
been
me
mind
proud.
blown, right? The teacher, what did she say? What was her reaction?
This actually reminds. Sorry, go on.
I was saying the teacher teaching Myra would have been like mind blown, like, what is she even doing at this age? Like,
Yeah, no, I've told her now. I've told her we are in this group and
so please
everything, and I
expect
do
some.
share
Yeah.
her experiments on a weekly basis to a class teacher as well. And they have shown in circle time some of her experiments. Helmet one especially. It
Wow.
seems it was very popular, and some other kids came back saying they want to make a helmet as well.
Oh, that's so nice. I mean, and again on that one, because obviously graph, sleeping line being x-axis, standing line being y-axis, people were like, oh, that's so creative way of teaching them x and y-axis. And then people were like, you know what, why don't you just teach robotics? You being in robotics, and 4-year-olds are making robots. And I'm like, no, it's not just about putting those wires and blocks together and make a robot. It's actually about getting back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And if you look at the robots, they actually work on X, Y, and Z, right? And slowly and gradually we want to, embed this concept rather than just, here's the robot, or here's the Lego blocks, here are the wires, just join them together and make a robot. That's how we don't want to, sort of land up. But then it's definitely so good to know that they are just grasping the concept so efficiently.
Yeah, they do.
Next question. I would like to know your opinion on if you were to compare LSA science like experiments and the community learning everything to say a swimming or a football or chess. What do you think is different? What is different here, and what is a thing which you like in LSA that is not a part of the others? It's a very tricky question, I think. But the answer is very
I would
obvious.
let Kalyani take this up, because we, except for swimming, we didn't join any class yet. She was in nursery then. So obviously, this was the year we would have been in lots of extracurricular, but because of lockdown, we chose not to.
Can't tell you
so I think she'll be better suited for this.
Okay.
Yeah, so this year, because it's virtual, a lot of their activities have cut down. But comparatively, when we started off with SLA, Trish used to have his football, Janvi and Trish into gymnastics, then swimming, and chess, and it's kind of
a lot of me time.
They were just really jam blocked with their activities. Come back home, get into their activities, come back, learning, LSA, and then into bed. So it's kind of jam packed, but each one has their own likings. Okay, so Janvi loves her gymnastics and dance. So Trish loves his football and swimming. But what makes LSA different is in swimming, it's only Trish into his level, Janvi into her level. Gymnastics, they are all both into their levels. And when it comes to football, he is into his own group. But when it came to LSA, it was Trish, Janvi, and Mum, all three together, sitting together, learning things together. So the bonding that came up along with it, these three are there. It's a teamwork. Not necessarily teamwork needs to be learned and done or offered only in school or outside activities. We had our own team. We were our LSA team. And be a part of it only once and when required earlier. But now, since he's all work from home, he's also essential part of our LSA team. So the teamwork, basically the teamwork, the bonding, the time sharing of ideas, that LSA got that into action when compared to the other activities.
Oh, that's so sweet to know.
That's really
Thank
nice.
you.
Okay, Nida, what is your take on it? But you haven't done any, or
Though I haven't done lots of extracurricular, as in because of our age group, not joined too many except maybe swimming. That's one we used to do. But yes, besides teamwork, I think the other thing I found was parents are learning as well. So every concept, researching, learning about it, and then understanding how you can do it in a fun way. So that entire element, then editing a video, things that we would have normally not picked up had it not been the format of this group. So I think that is something which is different, because normally in a class you would go and that would be an session for the kid. Here I think we are also learning on those concepts, even though we are aware of some part of it, but you're going down to a level that is more creative, more suited to the age group of your child. So that parents learning, I would say, and things beyond the experiment, like things about video editing and all that.
And to be honest, you're right. I mean, to be honest, the learning doesn't stop in 1 week's time. It just carries on.
Yes.
Because we parents have we have started breathing STEM now. So, we have ourselves, our outlook towards nature have changed, to be honest. And then that vocabulary is very different now as it used to be previously. So it has become very structured. So yeah, I'm myself feeling it. So I'm very, very thankful that you guys are also on the same page as us.
I think Kalyan is having some technical difficulties, but we are almost at the fag end of our video. So, what would be your advice to parents to get the most out of the experiment they do? Like, what would be your swear by this?
I would say always keep it custom to your family and your kids' personality. They should have fun. It shouldn't be something which they are learning and just from a perspective of academics only. You have to make sure that they're having fun. If you can introduce any other concept with it, like literature or creativity, like arts, arts, crafts, and as I said, confidence building, public speaking, all those things. If you combine, I think you will have a complete winner with you, rather than just focusing on just delivering the technical element of the experiment. So my suggestion would be have fun along the way.
That's very true.
Guys. Mine got disconnected, so I had to relocate.
Don't worry. Yeah. Ramya, would you like to just ask that question to Kelly as well?
Yeah, so the question was, thank you for the answer, Nida. I completely agree with you on that. The question was, what would be your piece of advice, or what would you swear by when you do the experiments to get the most out of it, Kalyani?
Okay, it is like, don't take the experiment as just experiment. You need to have a feel for it. So the kids have a feel for it, and don't force your kids to learn. what you do or what you like, it's a progression over a period of time. I don't get this done by just one day, 1 hour. When you post the experiment, it's like a process where I learn, then I try to see how they can learn it in their own ways. Because I have two little ones. For me, Trish has a different level of understanding and Janvi has a different level of understanding. How I explain it to them individually so that they include that concept. So it's kind of, it's never an experiment for us. It's a part of our week's journey.
And to be honest, I'm learning that from you. You're so calm throughout your experiments. You do not panic. You just take it so easily and calmly. It's commendable. Having 2 kids and managing that, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you for that. And the last question for today is, would you like to recommend LSA to others? And why would that be?
I have recommended my friends.
Already recommended it to so many people. Yes, it all depends, on their time and commitment. But yes, I've recommended it to tons of people already.
Thank you. And do you guys already know that we started off from a social learning platform perspective, but now we are doing Zoom lessons because people don't have time to commit to sometimes, and they're like, we are already struggling with too many other classes and stuff. So yeah, I mean, for those parents, we did start Zoom sessions and stuff, and obviously last time we had really a good response, and we're going to do it again in December.